We are. All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another contribution workshop. I just want to go over a quick thing before we get started. We have the openSUSE conference that's going to be coming up in June, as well as the uh, community summit that we're having in Berlin alongside, or at least on the last day of SUSECon. So if you are interested in attending that or participating, just go to events.opensuse.org. And so I'm going to go ahead and bring on Santi, and we can get started. Welcome, Santi. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Going to be going over sort of automated testing and how people can use open source technology and tools to find bugs and things like that.
Yeah.
So take it over.
Awesome. Wait a second. Perfect. Now, hi. Thanks again, Doug and Open Source Community for giving me the spot here. I might be monitoring the chat from time to time, so if you have questions, I might be able to follow up. And right now, what I am going to do is share from my screen. So there is really not much. I just want to go over through a few things. Because when it comes to testing, I always like to talk about something that is called the Deming cycle. So Edward Deming is considered the father of quality, and he was always promoting what is called the PDSA cycle, which is you first need to plan what you're going to do, then you actually execute it, you study, and then you act. And each one of those phases have their specific steps that you can take. Sometimes you find the S exchange with a C for check, but the emphasis that Deming does is that so when you have it on check, when people are doing a plan, do, check, act, they are usually focusing on the outcome. Whatever we're doing, is it are we able to execute the application? Are we able to deliver to, I don't know, to finish building this thing? Are we able to ship it? While when it comes to study, and what he proposes is to try to predict what is going to happen. What happens if my application is not properly starting? What kind of message does the user get? How am I interacting, or how is the user interacting that we get such behavior, and so on and so forth. And this is kind of the entry point for today's contribution workshop, because sometimes it happens that somebody sits down and they try using a new application, or even they want to test a new feature, and it happens that they might not know how to approach that. What is a test plan? How do I build a test plan? But this is more or less the starting point that you want to have. So we kind of start planning what is going to be the execution, and here I think exactly. So you start to plan your execution. You figure out for how long your testing is going to be, and at this point I'm just talking about exploratory testing only. So we plan the execution. Let's make a note here. Bananas, because why not? So the first thing is how long, what we are going to do, and then who do I talk to? So these are kind of basic questions that you usually can that you basically can have right before entering into into a session, like for exploring something, and then from there on you kind of start to build up. And here there is this thing called exploratory test charter. So there are different prompts that you can use. There are different ways how you can build it. But one that I find super easy to start with is I want to explore this with. So I want to explore thing with this thing to discover blah. And we have few examples here. In this case, I want to explore possibilities of the HCP services to discover networking domain service capabilities. I want to explore, and here we are talking about specific features. So I want to see what are the capabilities of mail service capabilities of postfix to discover how to send an email. And then from there on, you can start kind of building based on what you're seeing different things. So for around here, we are having different ideas, like after kind of going into that study part of the Deming cycle. Hey, how does the search work? Can I set up the reservations? Can I assign static IPs? So when now more and more, for instance, we're talking about transactional systems or immutable systems, whichever term you want to use. But I want to use I want to explore the user management to see if users can be created or deleted on such a system. I know that Richard is working hard on Aeon right now, and I think there is a user migration capability even, or something like that I read on Twitter. So that is also something that you can decide how to explore it and then start to build. And the great thing is that it doesn't just end on software. You can also, and here I'm going to switch to my VM. Here, this is a very old Tumbleweed machine that I have. I just updated it, and if I remember the password, it happens that you can also explore documentation. And that's exactly what I did. So I was going right before through the openQA setup part. I was able to get the openQA container running, and I found a couple of things. I'm not going to focus on that right now, but the main part here is that when it comes to making sure that whatever it's being built and whatever you want to deliver, you not only need to check whether the application works, but also whether the documentation is also matching whatever the application is supposed to do. Now, I think the container is running. So let's see if I can get an openQA container. Okay. And the next question is my openQA session, or is my openQA running? Yes. So I use the openQA bootstrap script. It is running. We have also the openQA OpenSUSE.org instance, which is the one that I'm going to blatantly clone from. And this is the main thing that we are using to make sure that most things that we are releasing kind of work. And I say kind of because, of course, we're not able to test everything. You more or less know the drill. You've seen it. You've seen it live. You might have even been to some of our some of our previous workshops, or have learned about it in the OpenSUSE conference. So for now, what I'm going to do is I just went through the latest build. And right now, I am interested in taking a look at so we have a couple of modules. So there is this boot to desktop, which is basically going to get you there on a desktop system. And in this case, this is boot to snapshot, but that's not what I'm going to be looking at today. I want to say, for instance, so I know more or less already how this goes, but when you are here at the top, I know that we have the module name. I know that we have test for Vim, but we also have test for GIMP. And in this case, I want to see how the GIMP test works. And we see that it's quite very straightforward. There are only 3 options being called, so we want to make sure that it's installed. We start an X11 program, and what you have here is a maximum timeout for how long we are going to wait until we consider the test failed. And in the end, what this does is basically internally, it's going to check. Let me duplicate this tab. So internally, this is going to be checking whether GIMP has started. It's checking a needle, and so it's checking for a region here. And what we are trying to do is basically we have one tag, and then we have multiple versions of the same uh, screen. And this is how, I don't know, it changes because of different desktop environments and so on and so forth. So right now, the test case is pretty straightforward, fairly simple. However, I would like to try and do something else, because I know that so one thing, for instance, is that we are not checking, we don't even know what version do we have. So because right now I don't have installed GIMP, so let's do that in the background. So let's go there. Now, the main reason why I am installing GIMP on this VM, because I also want to understand how does it behave. I cannot test something that I haven't tried myself. So in this case, while there is the cloning happening, in this case, while there is the installation happening, I'm going to come back to my openQA systemd container. So this one that I started at the beginning, and see if in var div openQA tests, do I have the tests? So it looks like yes. So so as you see, well, there is this ownership part, so we can do tests, and then life is good. So this is a pretty much default configuration. You can then add your SSH keys and all of this here. But right now, the first thing, if we come back to the charter, I should have Kate here. Let's open a new file, and I want to explore GIMP with command line options. So this is the exploratory test charter, so to speak, that I want to use, and maybe let's give it like not too much time. So let's give it something like 5 minutes of exploration. Let's give it 5 minutes of exploration. And then on top of that, I also want to write down the interesting options. I know that GIMP has, for instance, a Perl interface, if I remember correctly, and something around Python, if my memory serves well. So maybe I want to run a script and then on top of that, I want to try. So it sounds like we are going to try to do a lot, but we can tackle this in few parts. So the first thing that I need to learn or make sure, if let's say we are starting completely from scratch, I need to make sure that I am able to run this openQA test in my openQA instance. And the way to do that, which is something that I should have done probably earlier, is I am going to clone. I am going to copy this thing, and I'm going to tell my openQA instance. So openQA clone job, and that's it. So we don't have the secrets. So normally when you do the bootstrap, you usually end up having the API keys created automatically. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna copy this, and then do I have Vim? Yes. So Vim now the question is, will this work? Nope, because so let's do it like this, because I don't want to make my life harder than it needs to be. So openqa clone job dash dash. I think it was. Let's see what are the options. I need to pass API key, which is here, and then API secret. So let's go ahead and do that. The reason why I am trying to do it this way is because when we run clone job, it's going to download the assets. So that means it's going to download a QCode image, and I don't want to have to go to the trouble of setting up permissions once again. So in this case, let me, I can also, so I can also do this. And now I wonder if I can do openQA clone job. Now, if I do it like this right now, openQA will the clone job will also. So this is put to snapshot, but this job is depending on something else, which is create HDD text mode. And in reality, I don't want that. Also because it's going to download the wrong image, because what I want is a GNOME image. So, and put to snapshot is created from HDD text in text mode. So that's definitely going to end up in a horrible mistake. So let's go quickly and look for, if you want to do AI stuff, there are some tests as well. But right now, let's focus on extra text GNOME and let me change this. And as I said, if I execute this, this is going to download. It's not only just going to download the assets of what I need, but also it will trigger the dependency. So we are also testing openQA in openQA. So this is the same script. So we are making sure that there is a test running and everything and so on. But right now, if I do it like this, what is going to happen is that openQA will download the QCOW openQA clone job will download the QCOW image and it will download the ISO. And I don't want to download the ISO, and I also don't want to run the parent job. So one small trick that we have, let me go up again. Just for the record, I'm looking at the YouTube chat if there is anybody there, so you can ask a question and I can address it in the meantime. Now there are few things that you can do, like skip the download, ignore missing assets. You can clone the children and so on. But in this case, what I want to do is skip chain depths. And what this should do, first, not fail. And for now, it looks like it's doing the job. So while that is happening, let me say, so let's see what we have to do. We have to download and clone the test. Okay. Now we are downloading already. This will do its work on its own. So by now we can shift the context a little bit and take a look at GIMP. So what we want to do is explore its command line options. So the first thing is, do I have? It is already installed, and I see that there are already few things. So normally what I do is I just call for help. And I see that aside from showing, so aside from the version, which should display the version, obviously, there are a couple of things that are interesting. So I can start a new instance. I can open an image as new. I can run it without user interface. So that one looks interesting, at least for now. So let's say that we are here. So without user interface. On the rest, we have do not load brushes and patterns, do not load any fonts, do not show a splash screen. Maybe that's something that I might want to explore a little bit further. It looks like you can select to not have acceleration, that you can have a session RC file. So it looks like you have quite few things. So I like, when it comes to testing, I like fail fast. So the one that looks the most interesting is right now that fatal warnings. So let's call it. And so let's call it and let's see how it goes. Okay, so it starts. It seems good. Can I create something from an empty clipboard? Doesn't work. What if the clipboard is just text? So let me copy that. Create from clipboard. There is no image data, so that's good because it's recognizing the image stuff. So this is normally what you will do when you are trying to explore or trying to figure out how something works. So in this case, let's create an image and say hi, and now let's save it. Normally they have this format. Let's stay there for now, and I will come to that image in a second. So that's kind of the first part. Let me see if my tests finished downloading, and I have, as you can see, it downloaded all of the assets, and I was mistaken. It's also going to download the ISO. If you don't want to download extra assets, in this case, you can say, for instance, ISO equals like this. So, and that will make sure that there is no ISO there. But right now, I want to know if this is running. So I go to localhost. And there is my test apparently running. So there are some failures from the backend, but let's see. So there we are. My test is running and it's going to execute all of these modules. In this case, let me log in again. Let me stop the test. And what I want to do right now, when the computer comes back to life, if it does. So I tend to break things, usually either live or but yeah, right now it looks like it's frozen. Maybe we will have to bear for a second. Or I can just switch to my perfect. So now that we're here, we know that it runs. We know that we have different things. So the next thing that I want to see is what happens if I run, sorry, there was this option that is was the -s, so no splash. And then what happens if I call it with version? So with -v, and I get the version, so we know that works. Maybe we can, after trying out without the -v, we can see what goes on. So as you see, no splash. So we are pretty much there. So what we can do as a next step is come back here, and we are going to find, so we are going to find where our tests are. That is var, usually it's var lib openQA share tests. Then if you look there, there is usually OpenSUSE and SLE. So you just go to OpenSUSE, and there we can figure out where is the test, the GIMP test. So we know that the test, the name of the test module is GIMP, but we don't know where it is exactly. So whenever you see this folder here, you will know that it's a directory. So when you take a look at the structure, you have a couple of things. So we have the data directory, documentations, there is lib, products, schedule. So in schedule, you usually find YAML files that go along with the declarative schedule thing. So you can read that file. But in this case, we are going to take a look into tests. So if I go vim tests, then x11, because that's so usually the mapping is we have everything under tests is displayed as a group here. So we have something for local, we have something that is console somewhere, and then we have other differentiations, but let's not get there right now. So let me open GIMP, and now I say that I wanted to add a version check, or rather have openQA to display something about the version. And then there are many options how you can approach how to write a test and try to get information on how does the API work. And in this case, what you can do is just start. So in the introductory guide, there are a couple of things. There is the bootstrapping, system requirements, and then there is a part called where to now. So you can take a look at the getting started, and then it has some information on how to add images, ISOs, sorry. And then there is the user's guide, which is a bit more in depth on how does the configuration works and everything. Variable expansion. So you have quite a lot of documentations. I know that it's not the best, but it's there, and it kind of serves the purpose. But right now, because I know that we have it, I'm going to take a look at the API. And because I know that from Selenium, from Cucumber, Avocado, Robot Framework, there are things that are usually called assert. Maybe there is a maybe there is a function or something that I can use to run a command. Because if I take a look here, there is nothing that tells me I'm going to run a command. So when we start to look here, you have multiple things, but this part here. So keyboard support. So I see that I can send keys, hold, release, and then I can type string, and then I can also enter a command. So let's try. And in order to do that, I see that it's enter CMD, and then there is a string. Now, what I see here is that so let's add here enter CMD, and then let's verify once again that my GIMP -v will work, and it will show all of the stuff. But because I know how more or less how consoles work, I know that if I do echo of this, I will get the exit code. And that's good if I want to check that everything works. But maybe I, let's say that I am the GIMP package maintainer, and I don't know. So GIMP was configured with all of these flags, and perhaps I want to check that the version that this was compiled with -03, just to wreak havoc. So we can do enter CMD, and if we do it like this, so what that is going to do is effectively start a command, and let's see how that will work. And we're almost at the end. There is, I'm not going to go too deep. So remember that we use clone job. Yes, I use clone job, but now my command is gone. So I'm going to basically do the same thing, but in this case, I don't need the line altogether, because what I can say is, since I have the test already locally, I can say, you know what, clone this job, and one neat thing that you can do with openQA is that you can manipulate the schedule. And it looks like this. So, and this is a trick that I normally want to use. So let's put to desktop and run the GIMP part. So put to desktop, and then tests X11 GIMP. Now let's see how does that look like. As you can see, it says downloading, but the assets don't really need to be downloaded. Now let's see if it's running. I see that my system is booting. Everything looks perfect. So while this works and the system boots, keep in mind that If you are using openQA within a VM, you will be basically having two levels of virtualization. So make sure that you are not finding false positives, false negatives, because I don't know, something is trolling you. And that's one of the reasons maybe why the Firefox and basically this system is a bit unresponsive. I think I have something like 4 gigabytes of RAM. Yeah, and as the OpenSUSE account is sharing, I'm having basically access to the stream, so I can see the comments if there are questions from the audience. Let's see. So at this point, I know that this test will fail because I called enter CMD, and when we were looking at the test module, it was just going through the. So it was just starting an X11 application, and it ran the kernel buffer operation. Okay, this is good. So all this is telling me that my test is finished. And as you see here, something went wrong. It says incomplete. And I don't know why. So these are the kind of things that happen to you when you are doing things live. Yeah, I think that the out of memory killer from the memory killer from the kernel just took over. In any case, we can still move on. But what I was saying is that this test is basically making sure that GIMP is installed. It's starting the so X11 program is basically it starts from here and it calls so this is the part where ensure install is making sure that GIMP is actually installed, and then start X11 program is basically pressing Alt F2 and then typing the actual command. Now, because it will not have where to do anything, basically, one thing that I need to do so beam tests X11, and then let's go for GIMP again. So I'm just going to start this with xterm, and I just want to check that xterm is something that actually exists, even if this is yeah, it should work. So what this is going to do is that once X11 starts, openQA should be typing enter CMD. Sorry, openQA should be typing GIMP-V, And in the meantime, let me close here. Let me trigger again. So let me close as much as possible here. So this guy died. And let's see. Let me check for a second in my computer if it's okay. So let's see if this is running. Let's go to localhost again. So we see that our test is at least starting to run. Again, because I'm using a nested virtualization, there are definitely unintended side effects. So we still have to wait just a little bit before this finishes. So our system is booting. It got to the desktop. And now let's basically cross our fingers and hope that not only it opens GIMP, but that it also calls GIMP with the -v. So, and in the meantime, there is something that we call the developer mode. It allows you to pause the test execution. You can pause it at the execution of a certain module. You can also ask basically openQA to stop at certain places, and you can even interrupt the next command. So, and once the system is the system under test is paused, you basically can take over, connect via VMC, and then interact with the live system. So right now, this is the ensure installed. Most likely, it takes a bit to finish. So it is already installed. Now,
Hey Santi, I'm not sure if they could hear what you just said. I saw your lips moving, but didn't actually couldn't hear you. Hey, Santi. It looks like that they can't hear you. I don't know if you can rejoin real quick and go over the last or check your audio. Maybe it doesn't look like you're muted. Right. Yeah, we'll get Santi back up here and so he can continue on. Like just a couple things. Well, while he's trying to reconnect, um, you can see some of these talks at the openSUSE conference or some various different things that'll be taking place there. Let's see.
Can you hear me now?
Can I get a? I can hear you now. Yep, can hear you now. That's good. Probably cut off. I would say maybe the past 3 minutes. It was sort of the audio dropped. So if any of you have a question, please put it in the comments. Also on Twitter as well. If you want to come and check out some of the things that we have going on with openQA, as well as a bunch of other talks, just look at go to events.opensuse.org and you could check out or register for the conference. It's going to be happening in June in Nuremberg. We'll also be having an event in Berlin, that'll be taking place on the last day of SUSECon. That'll be also in June, about a week before conference. So I think we're getting a good signal here. Okay, there we go.
Can you hear me now?
Can hear you now.
Okay, finally. Let's see. Maybe we can get a do-over later on, but or during the openSUSE conference. I promise other type of problems. So now where I was, yes. So now the thing is that, and where I was basically is, so I know that my test is failing. What we're getting here is basically for certain type of tests, we execute something that we call post-fail and post-run hooks. In this case, the post-run hook is actually trying to make sure that as a test developer, I left the house clean, so it's expecting me to close the X11. Sorry, it's expecting me to leave the desktop on the generate desktop. So let's go ahead and do that as a first thing. And then one thing that we said, or that I said, is that I wanted to see, or I wanted to make sure that I don't know, that the developer or that even myself compiled the GIMP package with certain flag. So it looks like there are quite a few languages here. And I don't know, let's say, let's pick up enable offload defaulted. And what we have, so in the test API, we have a couple of things that can help us to get there. So if I head over again to open.qa, and then there is the test API. So I don't want to look at, I don't want to access variables. I want to run a script, because basically what I would like to do is something like gimp-v and then pass do something like grep. So if I say O2, so if I so if I say O2, I get this colored. So it finds it, but if I go with O3, it doesn't find anything. So what I want to do is try to do the same thing with openQA. So let's see. Looks like assert script run sounds like a good idea. We have other things like validate script output. So the difference there is that assert script run will basically die if something fails. And this is basically expecting an exit code of whatever, basically. And with the other one, validate script output, you can pass a perl. So basically what it happens here is that this is executed in the context of the system under test, and this part here is executed in the test code itself. So for now, let's just use assert script run. So let's go ahead, do that. And for this, I want to say, so I don't need to use the enter CMD again anymore, but I do need to do assert script run. And then I have to remember that, so I'm not in Bash, I'm in Perl right now. So if I want to check this, I need to, in this case, it might look a bit ugly. You can do it in much nicer ways. And we were saying O2. And Leon is asking, it's openQA, and yes, this is, so today's openQA. Now I modified my test. I don't really need to clone it again. What I actually need to do is just come here and restart. I'm looking at the previous execution. It took something like 4 minutes. So during that time, I can, if somebody has questions, I can take some. Otherwise, we can delve a little bit into the different things that we can do through the console. Because it's not just that that you can, do a local development and then do clone job all the time. among the few that you can do is so we have clone custom git ref spec, and what this script does is it allows you to clone a job from a GitHub branch. So and that helps you basically to do what we call verification runs. Okay, so the system is a bit loaded, so I can switch screens for a second. Let me present share screen. So let's go here for a moment, and let's go into openQA. Sorry. So where I'm going with the command that I was showing is that normally whenever we are trying to do some test development, there are moments when we are in the need of creating a verification run, because maybe there is some fix, like for instance, Teams just added one, and you see that he just ran. So this is whenever you see that the name is starting to look like OSL Twins, Distros, and then it's a very long name, you know it's basically coming from there. I actually blogged about it some time ago. There is another about testing kernels, but right now how to test things. Maybe Doug can take it from. I will share it in a second. I think that my test is already finished. So let's cross the fingers and hope that it died. So it died prematurely. So again, because I'm using because this is nested virtualization, I'm ending up in a situation where my system is basically running out of resources. And in the meantime, maybe Doug can share also the link that it's on the StreamYard chart. Now, is all of your Tumbleweed ISO automatically tested with openQA first? I saw its release so fast. Leon, yes, we do test everything with openQA. Let me change the screens again for a second. Window.
You were going for the GitHub one, right?
Sorry?
I think you wanted the GitHub openQA link, right?
I want the link. So this is the project, yes, and then there is the link that I shared in the private chat, but we can add that to the.
Okay, no problem.
Because it's quite long. So now to take a look on how Tumbleweed is working and tested, to go a little bit into Leon's answer. So basically, yes, we are testing every single snapshot is being tested in openQA. Um, we have quite a, um, quite a big set of tests for different uh, with different intents. I don't remember if for OpenSUSE we also have the Raspberry Pi for Tumbleweed. Sorry, also test enabled. Are I think that they might not be enabled anymore. Raspberry Pi. So they used to be in the OS at some point, but we might have disabled them for different reasons. So my
So
test, my openQA test keeps failing, but that's again on me. Uh, um, but yeah, that's more or less it, I think.
so
Mm,
Santi, there's a question that kind of came in here. You
mm-hmm,
can see it from
mm-hmm.
Leon. And
Is all of your Tumbleweed ISOs automatically tested with openQA first? Yes. So that's what I was going through. Like we have so every build that we make of openQA, sorry, every build of Tumbleweed goes through openQA first before being published. And that is what helps us get, uh, you know, publish depending on the release cycle that Dimstar, who is the release manager, wants to have. You see that we have something around 300 tests, more or less, and
I think we might have lost.
sorry.
Oh, okay, you're back.
Oh,
Lost audio for a second.
oh man, this uh, today is not my day. But anyway, the that is the part of. So what I was saying is, we get every build that is basically being tested, but even before that, the changes are done enough. But basically, we have these things called staging, which exactly this is what I'm looking for. So we have these things called staging, which allow the package maintainers to iterate fast, even faster. So these things are meant to test small changes. So every submit request goes first through the uh, staging areas of the open build service, and then from there they are being triggered and synced into openqa through some scripts that we have over there. Let me see, do we have any other questions there? Okay, so I think that for the most part that's kind of it. Again, the test that I'm trying to run locally, keeps failing. But that's again a side effect of nested virtualization, so don't try it at home. Also because it's fairly unsupported. But maybe we could start to wrap things up, Doc. I'm not sure.
No, that's good. I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate it, Santi. Thank you for providing a thorough and and very good workshop. So, and looks like
So
we did have a lot of followers on Twitter, a lot more so than YouTube. But yeah,
okay,
excellent.
that's great. I'm going to leave the openQA Twitter, or I'm not sure if you linked it. I'm going to write it on the YouTube chat at least. So it's now x.com openqa HQ, which if I manage to be fast enough. So this is our Twitter account. Has failed to post to OpenSUSE, of course. So I'm just pasting it on the internal chat, and then Doug,
Cool.
you can share it as a
We'll
last thing.
we'll do.
And thank you. There is going to be another a deeper dive during the OpenSUSE conference as well, and I do hope to maybe at a later point have something a bit better prepared to avoid the kind of situations that I'm seeing today, because that also was kind of exploratory for me. But in any case, if you have questions, doubts, regular expressions, just tweet us. Sometimes I hang out in the openQA Matrix channel as well. But then there are others that can help you get started as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a good one. Thanks,
You
everyone.
too.
Bye.